Good evening. It is Wednesday. That's the day of the week. I'm Dwayne Whitmer, and this is Weekly Whitmer Wednesday. I like that. This week's going to be a little bit of an interesting one to talk about. That's going to get some pretty people fired up and make a few people pretty pissed off. I've been arguing with some people lately and about Republican versus Democrat, and I kind of made a comment that both political parties are functionally and foundationally the same, and that really pissed off a lot of boomers. And so what I decided to do is do a show on it. And if anyone wants to debate it and argue, they can. They're welcome to. But this is kind of where we're at with it. So let's get started. Gonna start my timer. Like to keep these about 15 minutes. No one wants to hear me talk for a while, so we'll keep it quick, we'll keep it fast, we'll keep it going. So yeah, I said online there was a big discussion about are the two political parties, this Republican was like, Democrats love killing babies and communism and whatever, and this, he shared this meme, and Republicans are about freedom and loving something America and patriot and buzzword. It's buzzword bumper sticker meme. And I made a comment saying that if you think there's a fundamental difference between the Republican and Democratic parties, you're a fool and you've been conned by the GOP grift scheme. And he got mad and said that I was an idiot, and maybe I am. I mean, whatever. But we got talking, and I said, well, you got to understand that fundamentally and foundationally, the two political parties have one goal, and they're in the business of winning elections. And he said, no, Republicans are about freedom and saving babies. And I said, well, no, you're an idiot. And that's, people like you are the ones I struggle to work with because you keep thinking that you can reform the system. If we just vote harder for the right people, it'll help. And it doesn't work. And we've been doing this for 50 years. And that's why, when I talked last week, I said, I want to work with people who are beyond this divided bullshit political party savior mentality. Because if I'm building a movement, I'm building a monument to freedom. I need builders, I need workers, I need doers, I need people that are willing to be uncomfortable. I don't need someone who doesn't understand what a hammer does. And a lot of times in this movement, why this freedom, liberty movement, this grassroots organizing movements, why a lot of these movements fail across the country is because the doers spend more time explaining basic, fundamental 101 to fools and idiots who are too stupid to realize that they're idiots, that they can't actually do their goals, which is why, to be honest, in the real world, why I own every company that I work for. I don't have time to work with idiots, and I don't have time to explain, basic fundamental 101. So I did this video, so someone ever asked, I can show it to them. Watch it, don't watch it. I don't care. It's out there. You can learn, you can move forward, or you can keep believing a politician like Santa Claus is coming to give you the gift you need. And it's never going to happen. So if you analyze politics from a business perspective, both parties are functionally the same. Both parties are in the business of winning elections, not because they want to impact change, impact policy, or impact anything else. They're in the business of winning elections because if you win an election, you control jobs and you control influence. And if you control jobs, you can put people you like in those jobs, and now they're getting paid. It's a grift, it's a con, it's a scheme run by pretty much criminals, but they get away with it because they're elected. And that's really the two parties' goal. You win election, you control the jobs, you put your people in place, they get paid. You're essentially grifting. It's a Ponzi scheme, taking from the working class through taxation and giving to your friends who are usually upper middle class and wealthy. You see this with a lot of long-term politicians. How does a congressperson making $180,000 a year end up worth 20, 30, 40 million? Well, it's because they're committing crimes that if the normal people did it, we'd be in jail. But when they do it, it's allowed because they passed the laws that makes it legal to do so. So that's really what that is. And so, functionally, they're in the job of winning elections. Why? Winning elections means jobs. Job means money. Foundationally, eerily the same. And what they do is the used car salesman pitch. What the Democrats do is they say, if you don't vote for Democrats, Republicans are fascist, racist, white supremacist. You pick the pick the bad guy, the boogeyman of the century. It's Trump for now. It used to be George Bush. Now it's white supremacy. It used to be something else. There's always a boogeyman that the Democrats have, that if you don't vote for us, the boogeyman will get you. The boogeyman never comes. The boogeyman doesn't really matter. It's to dupe dumb people into thinking that they're going to save you. It's that cult mentality. And it works. It appeals to about half the population, falls for it, believes it, and votes for their candidates. And the Republicans do the same thing. Hillary Clinton, George Soros, Barack Obama, communism, evil things. And, they use a boogeyman to trick older Republicans into thinking that, if I don't vote for a Republican candidate, Mexican terrorists are going to abort my grandchild. And it's just a way to tend to trick you into being afraid, because if you're afraid, they can be your savior. If you're scared, they can be your hero. If you're willing to be afraid or upset or bothered by this, if they can trigger you emotionally, I'm going to make a comment in a minute to Jim Ostrowski's thing. But if they can trigger you emotionally, they have you. It's that emotional. If I can say or do something to trigger your emotional response, I have you. It's why abortion, guns, immigration, these are great topics, because people feel so emotionally strong about these things that they can use it to trigger someone's emotion to giving them time, energy, resources, blindly following anything they're doing. We saw this with COVID. I mean, COVID is a quality example of just the sheer emotional response of people to A, believe that the government is going to help you, and B, believe the government gives a shit about you enough to actually give a shit to try to help you. We saw this like COVID. I said, government, do something. You have to help us. You have to save us. And a lot of politicians said, sure, here I come. I'm going to come save the day. Look at me. I'm great. Andrew Cuomo was a great example. DeSantis in Florida is a great example. These people are making these folk heroes out of politicians who really don't matter and really have done nothing other than win an election and make a lot of money through extortion of taxation for their friends and cronies. And really, that's it. And so both the GOP and Democrats do this because if you have a boogeyman, if you have someone you're afraid of, then they're the only ones that can help you or save you. They've got you in. And there's a lot of people that fall for this. And those people are hard to work with, because if you start to ignore the boogeyman and start to understand that the boogeyman is the actual system that is the centralized bureaucracy, that is the government, no matter who's in charge, you're willing to do more and remove your resources away from those parties. You're essentially walking away from a grift scheme, and then you become the enemy, which is why everyone hates Dwayne. Although I will say that most people that hate me, if I go to See Through New York and type in their name shows up. Most people that attack me or have a problem with me are people that show up in See Through New York. Why? Because they have a government job, they're controlled by the political machine, or they're indebted to the political machine because they have a job. So they're pissed at Dwayne Whitmer because Dwayne Whitmer succeeded in the real world on his own and is trying to explain to people how the grift works. And that directly affects them because their job is part of the grift. So I do a really good job of pissing off people who are, political class. Both parties are in on it. Both parties are the same. And like I said, people are going to get mad and say, no, Republicans hate brown people and Democrats love hate babies. And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit to get you thinking that the other side is the enemy. Because if you believe the political class is coming to save you, you're going to keep voting for their candidates. You're going to keep donating to their candidates. You're going to go to their shows. You're going to believe in them. You're going to get lazy. You're not going to take care of yourself. You're going to put reliance on someone else to take care of you. And they have you. They have you in their grift, in their scheme. And then when they fail, this is the best part. When they fail, when a Republican candidate fails to do anything in relates to gun control, or a Democrat fails to do anything in anything they do, they just blame the boogeyman. That's the other party. Oh yeah, man. Bernie Sanders wanted Medicare for all, but those Republicans and white supremacists and racists, they stopped it, man. We tried, ignoring the fact that the Democrats controlled the presidency, the House, and the Senate and couldn't get it done, because it's not about actually accomplishing anything. It's about keeping you voting for them to keep promising you something that's never going to come. Republicans did this with, gun control and concealed carry reciprocity at the national level. You had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. You never did it. Why? Because if they do it, well, then you don't need them. So they keep saying, well, we tried, but those evil Democrats really got us good. Well, what about the times you controlled all three branches and you could have actually passed it? Well, we tried, but the Democrat, George Soros and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Bill, they're bad people. Okay, great, but why didn't you do it when you had the chance? Well, you just got to vote for us next time. Well, I already gave you a chance. And then, what did the Republican Party do for me when they had control of the House, Senate, and presidency? They passed the Patriot Act, which has spied on people like me and made us criminals of the state. So really not great. And what do the Democrats do when they're in control? They gave us Obamacare, which Obamacare was a phenomenally done bill, not in any sense for anyone else like us. Obamacare was one of the massive, largest Ponzi scheme shifts of money from the working class to the 1% and corporations ever, up until COVID and the bailouts. Obamacare was a phenomenally written piece to transfer money through taxation from the working class and people who are paying taxes to corporations and big pharma, who are some of the biggest corporations in the world. Absolutely asinine. And the Dems fell for it under the guise of, like I said, the savior complex. Well, you got to vote for us and we'll give you Obamacare and you get some insurance. You get the table scrap insurance. And, corporations like Pfizer and Merck got billions. That's kind of how it goes. And you see a lot of that. And I'm hoping that as I say this, people listen, they understand. When it comes to going forward, because people say, well, Dwayne, what's your answer? When it comes to going forward, I need people to understand this. If I spend 5 hours a month arguing with people I'm supposed to be on the same side of, that, no, politicians aren't coming to save you. No, a political party isn't coming to save you. No, you can't vote harder. You're wasting my time. You're wasting the people that are in this movement's time. We need to go beyond this and start focusing on getting wins through direct action, non-compliance, non-enforcement, nullification. Doing this and spending time arguing with people about, like, no, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party isn't coming to save you. You're taking resources away from accomplishing. And so going forward, that's kind of what I'm doing. Is I don't care if you think that if you think Bernie Sanders is going to transcend from the heavens like a messiah and touch your forehead and give you Medicare for all, I can't work with you. If you think that any politician is coming to save you, I can't work with you, because you're going to get duped by the next big thing. And this happens on both the right and the left. You say, well, some politicians sneak through. Bernie Sanders did it. AOC did it on the left, and Trump did it on the right. And what did you get? They played the boogeyman. Oh, Donald Trump tried, but look what the Democrats and George Soros did. We tried our best. Darn it. Gosh darn it. We did our best. But really all it is the jobs program. It's a Ponzi scheme to dupe you into thinking that if you vote your hardest and you vote really, really hard and try your best, you have a say in a system that doesn't fucking care about you. And it dupes you into thinking, well, I voted. I did my part. I bettered the country by taking 20 minutes out of my day to vote, and I solved all the problems. Meanwhile, you do nothing to actually solve the problems. You don't work locally. You don't do defiance. You don't do direct action. You just think, well, I voted, so therefore my problems are solved. And it kind of keeps Americans fat, dumb, and lazy. And those are the people going forward. Look, I understand a majority of the population isn't going to come our way, isn't going to do this. I don't need 50% of the population. I don't need 40%. I need 10% of the population to start walking away and believing in focusing local, direct action, non-compliance, non-enforcement. And that's all we really need. So Jim said, John McCain for president. Jim, you're blocked. You're absolutely blocked. That's terrible. That's absolutely not. John McCain lied, and my friends died when it came to Iraq. He lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And a lot of my friends went to the Middle East and didn't make it back. So someone's saying you're spitting out information without citing any sources. This is the best part. My sources, I would say electoral politics since 1900. Have you not seen where our country is? And we are in a soft civil war. Battle lines are being drawn by both the left and the right. You're seeing people move to Colorado and Idaho. People are leaving and fleeing to places that are more ideological like them. If you see what's going on in the real world and listen to any politician talk, the generic politician, listen to any commercial that any politician does. It's always, George Soros is trying to get me, vote Republican, or Hillary Clinton's, Nancy Pelosi's bad, vote Republican. It's the same thing over and over again. The sources are just watch any politician speak. Look at any politician promise they're going to pass something. Look at nothing being accomplished on either side. Only thing that's being accomplished is politicians are getting richer, which is a fact. I mean, that's common knowledge. Big corporations are still doing better, and small businesses are being shut out because that's just how it works. Jim Dayton said the big donors always win. Yes, some of the largest donors to Barack Obama in his 2008 and 2012 runs were pharmaceutical companies, health insurance companies, and medical companies. Why? Because they knew that if they donated $100,000, I don't know the exact amount, but if you donate the maximum to Barack Obama's reelection and an election campaign, and you get Obamacare, you're going to make a lot more money in the long run. Jim Ostrowski actually did a video on this talking about how you can buy influence by donating to a politician. And a lot of these larger companies with a lot of money, and wealthy people in general, you influence politicians by giving them a lot of money. You donate, $100,000 to someone's campaign, and then you get $1 million job or $1 million grant or $1 million project. This happened recently in Western New York in Buffalo with something called the Buffalo Billion. A bunch of people donated to Andrew Cuomo to get him reelected, and then he, invested, which invested means he just took taxpayer money from you and gave it to his friends. $1 billion in the Buffalo area, and it turned out that whole thing was wrought with corruption, fraud, and kickbacks. If you or I did it, we'd still be in jail. But the guy that was involved, no one, I don't think anyone went to jail for anything really long because they were wealthy and part of the political class. But you see this all the time with projects going on. It's all a kickback scheme, which is why unions tend to vote Dem, because the Democrats are all about investing in infrastructure. So you take tax dollars, give it to a union, it guarantees their jobs, and then they vote for you. Kind of sad to see how it works, but our government has its tentacles in a lot of things. Even a lot of the bigger not-for-profits are the same thing. They give grants to not-for-profits, and what do the not-for-profits do? Hire people and don't solve any problems. They just rely on the grants to keep the jobs program going while providing nothing of benefit. And that's kind of how government is in general. They don't have any reason to protect you or help you or do anything for you. And it starts with you doing it yourself. And a lot of people don't really want to do that because they don't want to be uncomfortable. That is the one thing. I was actually talking to Jim about this today. One reason why a lot of direct action and grassroots movements don't work is because nobody wants to be uncomfortable anymore. A great example of this is, it's going to be interesting. This is in the works, but the Buffalo Bills. So New York State used financial warfare to steal money from the Seneca Nation, which is an Indian nation near us. They stole $500 million from the Senecas to essentially give to the Pagulas, the 1%. So you stole from a indigenous people, sovereign citizen nation of Indians to give to the NFL, which is a $1 billion industry, and the Pagulas, who are billionaires. So money earmarked for nursing homes for their elderly, training programs, addiction and alcoholism support. You took that from the Seneca, so you took it from the poor and gave it to the rich, kind of like a reverse Robin Hood. And the Bills are going to build a new stadium with it. Well, now you have a problem because apparently it just came out that the Bills owner is being sued for saying some pretty racist things back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean like 3 years ago. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens. In theory, a lot of people who are all about, don't call it Columbus Day, call it Indigenous Peoples Day, recognize what they went through. Well, they're still going through it because we just took $500 million from them. And people who say Black Lives Matter, racism is bad. Well, are you willing to be uncomfortable and not go to the Bills game? Are you willing to say, I believe in this cause so much, I'm going to stop going to Bills games? No, you're not, because you don't give a shit about being uncomfortable and actually standing for the cause. You're going to make an excuse. Just like you saw it on the right. How many people on the right, when the Bills implemented the vaccine mandate, said, I'm never going to watch a Bills game or go to a Bills game again? A lot of those people are still posting about the Bills. You're afraid to be uncomfortable. You're afraid to make a sacrifice to really show that you're going to stick to your principles. And that's what they rely on. Really disappointed in a lot of my friends on both sides because, you hate the 1%, you hate the wealthy, you're mad at corporate welfare, but then you're at every Bills game drunk at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, mostly probably to forget you live in Western New York, which is riddled with corruption, fraud, and government abuse. But at the same time, a lot of people aren't willing to be uncomfortable. And that's what the political class and government relies on. You're going to say things like boycott XYZ business because they hurt my feelings. But when it comes time to do it, after 6 months, you're going to give up because you're uncomfortable. And they know it. And this is why you got to find those people and work with them, support them, and explain why it's important. Like I said, Buffalo Bills are a quality example of this. A lot of people mad at the Bills when they put their vax mandate in are posting pictures on Facebook at Bills games. So you weren't really mad at the Bills. As soon as it became time to become uncomfortable, you rolled over. And they know it. So following the Bills is going to be an interesting thing. But that's it. I'm over 20 minutes. I like to keep these to 15 minutes because no one wants to hear me talk for a long period of time. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to go to bed. I'm not going to go to bed. I'm going to eat dinner and go for a walk, then go to bed. I'm going to do some Liberty walking for Jim Ostrowski. Yeah, next week we're going to talk about what to do next, why direct action works. I had something written down, but I don't know where my notes are. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great week. I will see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m., same time, to talk about something, mostly to rant about how a central bureaucracy will fail and continues to fail, and hope people wake up enough to realize it and start fixing their communities on their own with other like-minded people. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Hope you have a great evening. Have a great night. Take care.